Hey guys, what's up? Back to the workbench again. Figured give you guys a quick update from last left off. I was doing all the updates to the F-15 Strike Eagle kit. Well, I had to make a few corrections, so I took care of that since I'm representing a Seymour Johnson bird. I had to do the antenna here, another one here, to make sure these are straight. And I also fixed the ECM suite in the back. Once all said and done, I moved on to primer. Now, you don't have to use a primer, but I choose to. There's a few reasons behind it. One, a primer tends to be neutral in color. It's usually black, white, or gray. I've said this before in previous videos. The reason why I put the primer on here is I had to do some filling and sanding here and there, and I was afraid it would show through the paint, so that's why I applied the primer on. Second reason is because since I use acrylics and they tend to be adherence tends to be weak, especially if you don't wash the bottle off. But this isn't always the case. So the primer actually gives the surface for the acrylic to adhere to a little better. That's why I use a primer. And last but not least, when you're using putty work and stuff, I shouldn't say last but not least, this is actually another reason. When you're using putty and stuff, they tend to be in color. Like I try to use gray putties, but sometimes I have to go with the green or red because it makes it easier to spot fill, especially if there's any flaws and imperfections. Another reason is it gives me a chance to give one final inspection before I go on the paint job. The primer actually exposes any flaws, scratches, or if I got to put any more reapply putty in certain spots. Once they're exposed, I can take care of them before final painting. That's for the reason for the primers. For my case, that's a reason for the primer. That's a quick on that. But everything's done. Everything's ready. It's all set and ready to go. I'm going to give this a day to dry because even though primer dries quick, it's still an enamel based. I know there are acrylic based primers, but I prefer the enamel because it works on styrene a lot better. And like I said, I give it a day to dry because if you're using enamels, it could have an adverse reaction to the primer, and that's what you don't want. In acrylic's case, no big deal, but this is still fully curing. Good rule of thumb when it comes to primer: if you can still smell it, that means it still needs time to cure. In this case, I can still smell it. I got a day or two. Also, when you're using primer, make sure you're using it in a well-ventilated area and check the primers you use. This is mainly an enamel base, so this is really no big deal. But if you're using a lacquer-based primer, for example, it could affect the plastic adversely, and that's what you don't want. So test any primer on a piece of scrap plastic before you commit to primer. That's a good thumb right there. As you can tell, there's very few, if any, imperfections on this because I took my time in filling, sanding, and cleaning up any spots that required anything. Problem is done. As you can tell here, you can tell where I did the sanding and puttying. Really wasn't that much to begin with, and as you tell, there's nothing there now because I took the time with it. See anything else? No, I think that's about it for the priming. I also got the sub-assemblies done. I started working on the canopy a little bit. I did masking. Sorry about the arm getting in the way. I did some masking for this one. Now, I didn't have to do much masking on the canopy, but I chose to do this because I'm going to be using my airbrush. I'm actually going to be breaking this out for the first time in a long time. I used to use a double action for a while. Usually I go with this since it's a single color subject, but because I got some work to do, I want to get some practice in with the double action and start getting the hang of this again because I got some multicolor subjects I'm going to be working on, especially with the stash I got in the back. I got all sorts of stuff, so I'm going to be using this. Now, double action usually is a rocker action, as you can see here, so you can go from very fine lines to big spots, but we'll not go any further than that until I start doing the paint job and stuff. But this is all I got for now. Back to the canopy here. Unfortunately, I'm very sloppy when it comes to airbrushing, even with a double action, so that's why I had to cover the canopy. Good thing, and the good part about the masking is it protects, of course you already know, it protects the plastic underneath, but you gotta make sure everything is very well adhered. Now, in this case, I used Tamiya masking tape because it's a little bit more gentle when it comes to paint jobs. Also, it's less likely to lift the paint underneath, especially if you're using acrylics. So that's the reason why. Let's see, course ordnance has been selected. It's not, I probably mentioned in the last video, it's not fully finalized. The air-to-air selection is finalized, but the air-to-ground's not quite finished yet. I mean, I already know, yeah. I'm already using a sniper pod, of course, since I'm representing an Operation Iraqi Freedom bird, or the F-15 in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. I got the JDAMs, of course. I got the bigger ones, smaller ones. I got some laser-guided bombs. Apologize for repeating myself, but that's basically about it. I really don't have much further to explain, but once I start painting and stuff, I'll start discussing that more and more in the next video. And this is all I got for now, so I will be explaining more in detail in the next video. Happy modeling. Take it easy, guys. Have fun.